Hello legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. Today we hit 4,000 subscribers and I got up this morning. We got a front in Houston. It's kind of a cloudy, dreary day. The temperatures have dropped, I believe in the upper 40s, so we're probably going to be in the low 60s. So we're around like 10C right now, when normally we're like 26C. So it's one of those days where it's Thursday. I was just going to do a spin. I'll do that after I get through with this video. But I wanted to share my day with you and what happened to me over the last couple of hours. After I dropped off my daughters at school, I came back and I went and just pulled up the channel to kind of go through the comments and respond to people before I started my Thursday. And then I saw that we had hit 4,000 subscribers. And I'm not sure how I found this link, but I ended up sending a video that I was watching. I was on YouTube doing something. I was probably researching something. And I ended up sending a link to Paul. I ended up posting it on the Veloharmony Facebook page as well, because I was very moved by a video. There is a channel called TEDx on YouTube. I'll put a link down here for those of you who want to check it out, because I think it's a very useful channel. I ended up watching several videos. They're very long videos, 15, 20 minutes, some of them, just talking about bikes. And it dawned on me that they're talking mostly about the benefits of riding a bike and why they ride. And it connected with me because I have found that over the last few months, I have two old cars. Well, they're up in age, but when you see them, you can't really tell because they're being cared for. I have a BMW 540i 6-speed, and I have a BMW E36 M3. The 540i is the E39. For those of you who are into Bimmers, that's the chassis designation. But they're very well built cars. I bought them in '98, and the 99 M3 I bought maybe 4 or 5 years ago from Alan, the guy that rides with us from time to time. He runs a shop. He works on them. He keeps them running. He's a master mechanic. But the point I'm trying to make is I found that I've been driving them less and less. I had to go about a month ago and put the 540i on what is called a trickle charger. For those of you who are not into cars, it keeps the battery from losing its charge, and it keeps it ready to use when you don't use the automobile frequently. But I'm finding that I use the cars less and less. And I probably had mentioned in some video that I've been researching for a bike that I would use. Let me take a seat here, because I ended up grabbing this bar this morning to try to decide which bar I'm going to put on the bike that I will eventually get. I'm looking for a city bike. I was watching this video about how automobiles in the US are killing 33,000 people on average every year. And what the gentleman was saying in there on the TEDx channel, I ended up subscribing to them because they've got a bunch of treasure trove of information on bicycle ways, bike ways, different cities, and how you can take back and reclaim these spaces that have been paved over for parking lots that drive people indoors. Because where we live in the US, everybody drives into the house, close the garage door. There's nobody walking around outside. So I love being on my bike because you get out there and you connect with your neighbors. If I weren't riding bikes, like sometimes you guys will see me, I will say hi to the neighbor. We're never out there. You're in this car with the window up, so you just disconnected from everything. So it started connecting with me because what he was saying was he was diagnosed with a chronic ailment, terminal, according to the doctors. Something was causing his immune system to not be able to allow him to ingest food and digest food. And I'm just going to summarize. So they had pretty much just put him on some kind of internal feeding drip and put a backpack on his back and told him that if the disease continued to move like that he, in a few years, he won't be able to basically absorb nutrition. And that's, you can't live if you can't do that. So he said what he did, he went on a bike ride. He lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He went on a bike ride. And he went on another, because the first time he was so weak with all the treatments they had been giving him. And then, so he just went a block. And then the next day he went a little further and a little further. And many years later, he's fine. He's having no problems. He got that drip out of him. He's not taking the drugs that they had him on and all that. But basically, everything is in remission. And he's healthy and he's happy. He shows himself riding and he's smiling. And I'm not going to recount the whole video. I will put the link down here. I shared it on the Veloharmony Facebook page as well. And I think I will put the link for the Facebook page, but for those of you who want to check it out. But the point I'm making is this. I've never been depressed on a bicycle. When I ride my bike, it just uplifts me. In fact, I'm married to a woman who, when I don't go ride, she has a problem with it. Because she has told me many times over that when you come back from your rides, you're such a joy to have in the house. You're in such a great mood. You know, even my girls are all excited and this and that. So when I don't ride, let's say if I say I have a rest week or something, you know, which is a planned time off, she's concerned. She wants to know, why are you not riding? Because she doesn't know my training schedule. If I don't ride, she has a problem with it. She's like, you need to go ride. That's what cycling has done in my relationship. My wife pushes me out the door when I don't ride. Now, I know many other cyclists, I've heard from my experiences that it might be the opposite, where the significant other feels that we're spending too much time in cycling. But you know, like everything in life is a balance. But I made that comment just so people will realize that when things go on in your life, I went through issues in, you know, prior marriage where you're going through a divorce is like a death in the family. I mean, you're going through stuff like you've lost something. And sometimes I can get you down. And that cycling got me through that. And I talked to you guys about blood pressure, family related stuff. Cycling got me. So like Jose said, Jose Santiago, in fact, I'm going to use his phrase on the title for this video. I ride to live. Riding is part of my life. And I'm finding that now I have less desire to take the car to the shop when it has a problem. As soon as there's a little tick on my bike, I'm on it. I'm on it immediately. And that's one of the reasons I'm glad that I have this channel. We have 4,000 users because I want to help other people know how to fix a flat, do whatever, because that empowers you to get out there and explore. Every time you get on your bike, it's an adventure. And I've gotten to the point where the reason I'm holding these bars is I'm trying to decide whether I get a track city bike or those old classic bikes with the flat bars. You know, I've been doing research online. I'm shopping because, you know, Black Friday is coming or whatever. So I want to stretch my dollars, but I want to get a bike that has regular pedals on it. Similar to, there was a movie I was watching called Collateral Beauty with Will Smith. It is a simple city bike, flat bars, but it's one of those that can get up and go. It's a steel frame, you know, just a nice looking bike that you can wear everyday clothes and just a pair of sneakers or whatever, loafers or shoes or, you know, casual wear, boat shoes, whatever, because the pedals have little grips on both sides to where it grabs your foot in there. I want something like that. And he had a little basket built in on a steel chromoly frame. That's what I'm leaning towards. I want a bike. I will get a nice lock. I'm doing research on locks as well to make sure no one steals it. You know, I saw a guy at the shop. I went to Walmart the other day, and Walmart is a mile and a half from my house. And I drove there, and I was like, man, I could have been on a bike. So that's why I'm accelerating my search to get this city bike, because I can it comes with a basket. I will get one with a basket. I can even get panniers. I have a backpack. Let me see. Let me show you guys what I have. I have this backpack. It's one, I bought something a long time ago from a European distributor, and it threw this in, I guess, a loyalty thing. I think it was when I bought those Endura things. And this is an excellent backpack. It swells when you put more stuff in it. It's actually more backpack than I need, because this is for people that do a lot of hiking. It opens like that. So I will be using this when I go to the store. I can just throw it on my back. It's perfect. So I've reached the point where, These videos you guys see on the weekends when we go out and ride and we hook up with people like Frankie was there yesterday. And what I noticed was just getting people out on a bike. When we're out there and we see other people, we end up talking to people more than when you're in the car. And I was like, man, I want to be on my bike more. That's what I got up with this morning. And so I just started doing the research. I'm trying to just get the best value because there's not a burning need, but I don't want to get a road bike per se, like we ride with. I want something that I can just wear what I'm wearing now and just go to the store. I mean, it's just a mile and a half from here one way. Driving a car, come on. So, the reason why I mentioned I've got 2 old cars is that I have had no desire over the years to buy anything new. If I do, like Paul and I were talking, we're on a ride coming back, and it's funny how I guess all cyclists that love cycling think the same. You probably feel the same way. I just mentioned to him, I said, man, what I'm thinking about is working on raising some money to buy what did he call it? An RV or something. I'm thinking about those where it's a large vehicle, not the one. I don't have a pickup truck to hook it up to, because if I'm going to do that, I just want a full RV vehicle, and I know that the good ones are real pricey. It doesn't have to be the top priced ones. I want something where we can just go to Grand Fundos, have a kitchen and everything built in. We just put the bikes in the RV and just drive and do more of these kind of things. So that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm finding myself, maybe I'm just getting older or more mature or wiser, but I'm finding myself thinking about everything in my life being centered around the bike more and more. I'm finding myself, I go online and I research our local Houston guys to see what the city is doing about bikeways and different things. I have all of a sudden I have more interest in that than anything, because it just enhances your life. I mean, when I get on the bike, I have never ever been depressed on the bicycle. I've never been sad on the bicycle. But I've been upset, depressed, sad in a car, sitting in traffic. It just takes away from you. So when I watched the video that I started out talking about on TEDx channel, where all they talk about the benefits of bikes and how they help your community and you and whatever, you think about it this way. There was a video I was watching this morning. He said that the gentleman making a speech, because they have different people that have presentations, almost like a public speaking event all over the world. One guy did one in China. The one guy that was doing one in Louisiana said that there are 10 things that people die from in the U.S. So he put in the middle automobile deaths. The first 4 from heart disease, obesity, all the other related illnesses, then dementia, depression, and other things. So on one side, he put 4 things, and on another side, he put 5. So that was 9. Then he put automobile deaths in the middle, which we lose about 33,000 people a year. All the things on either side of the automobile deaths, from the top 4 to the last 5, are preventable if we exercise. So he said riding a bike got rid of everything. He said then, if more people ride the bike and gets rid of everything, automobile deaths go down because there'll be less people driving. And I was like, wow, I never looked at it that way. Because we've grown accustomed, I reverse engineered this. We've grown accustomed to think about it. When there's a terrorist bomb somewhere, like unfortunately the moron that ran over the people in Nice. And then you've got this guy in Vegas that shot, wounded 500 people, killed 58. You got the thing that just happened in Texas. This guy walks into a church, he kills 26 people. It's on the news for 2 days or a week or whatever. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be on the news, but what I'm trying to get at is, think about it this way. We have 33,000 people being killed by automobiles on average every year. Let me do some math. My brain is not. So I'm going to take 33,000 and divide it by 12. That's 2,750 of our fellow citizens At least in the US. I don't know about the rest of the world. I don't have numbers from there. 2,750 people are dying every month on average from automobile accidents. Shouldn't this be on the news? That's more people than the terrorists are killing. That's the point he was making in the video, and I wanted to share with you guys. So that really did something to me. Why have we become so accustomed to accept the fact that it's okay for this form of transportation to take 2,700 plus people every month? That's not viable. It's not a very efficient form of transportation anyway. The bicycle is the most efficient form of transportation. For 100 calories, you can go, I think it was 5 kilometers or something. A comparable efficiency in an automobile would mean that a liter of gasoline would take you, I think, 300 miles or something. We're nowhere near that. So it's not efficient, it pollutes, and it's killing us, and we don't talk about it. So that just did something to me. So needless to say, I started searching more for the bike. Yeah, I'm not going to change the world, but the reason I'm making this unusual video for the channel is that I want each and every one of you that hears this to do the little bit. Get somebody else to ride with you. I don't care whether they're a racer or not. It doesn't matter. And that's the point I'm trying to make. When you pass another person on a bike, say hi. Doesn't matter whether they're clunky looking or got the best kit on or whatever. Encourage them. Let's get more people out on the bikes. Because the cars are not viable. They're not sustainable. Fossil fuel is polluting, and with global warming, we're having all kinds of problems. So what bugged me this morning was the fact that when I saw those numbers and the fact that our mainstream media and whatever don't even talk about it. Granted, yeah, there's a car crash. You talk about one person because it happened. But I think that's an issue. I think that should be an issue for every city government, in every municipality. Automobiles are killing people more than the terrorists do. But we've just accepted that. You do the math. If it's 33,000 a year and you multiply by how long the automobile has been around. Now, he also talked about in Denmark, they took back their streets. They protested because when automobiles came out, it started killing kids. The kids are riding their bikes. And the people went on the street and actually protested on bikes. And the city council listened. And that's why today, Denmark has infrastructure in place that separates cyclists from cars. And now you've got more people riding bikes than cars in Denmark, Amsterdam, and other places. Well, Amsterdam, I think, is like 40% of the trips are done on bikes. But in Denmark, there was a picture in the video I'm talking about on this channel that I'm going to put the link here for, where there were 60 cyclists at an intersection on a protected cycling path or lane. It just had a curb in between and the regular street. And there were 6 cars at the light. I was like, man, I need to move there. That was my initial reaction in my mind. And I said, that's where I need to live. And then they showed how areas like whether it's China or wherever, Minneapolis, areas where in Minneapolis they reclaimed a railroad that was abandoned and they made like a bike freeway, just entrances and exits for cycling only. And he said in a short time, all the developers came and built condos, apartments, billions of dollars of investments along the bikeway, because guess what? The millennials and mature citizens wanted to live somewhere where they didn't have to own a car. The car is expensive. You got to keep that sucker running. You got to put fuel in it every time. And then you have to buy insurance. It adds up. It's a headache. And the interviews with people, he said, why do you ride a bike? He said, I got tired of having to buy gas every time I needed to go somewhere. So he said, I just get on the bike and I go. And he said, he's gaining weight. So when he started riding his bike, so you get fitter. It doesn't cost you anything because you eat anyway. You use your own power. And it is the most efficient invention human beings have come up with to date. Nothing is more efficient. Not airplane, none of that. As far as the fuel for the distance that you can cover. So yeah, we're not going to change the world overnight, but the fact that you have cities like Norway now is planning in 2020 to ban cars, I think, in the city center. He mentioned that as well. So the Europeans are embracing this because it just makes sense. And so as far as areas in the city, like here in Houston, to move back in the city, it costs more because you have to pay more for those condos or homes or whatever. But if you sold your car, the money you saved there, you could probably invest it in there for people who want to just be within walking or riding distance to things and services that they want. So today is an unusual video. It's not really a tip or anything, but it's a video about riding to live. And we need to use our bodies to keep ourselves healthy. Most people in the US are obese compared to most other places in the world because we just don't exercise enough. And a lot of us that sign up in gyms, we go for a little while, but then after a while, it's another thing. You got to get in the car to go and all of that. So after a while, guess what? It's not that much fun. So you have the diehards that really extremely work out, and then you have the rest of the people that don't work out much. And we have more and more of our citizens falling to, obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure. That's what kills us, Heart disease is like the number one killer, I believe. And then you've got other things, mental problems like dementia and other things. When you're out riding a bike, it has been proven that as you age, you get smarter. You get to use your brain more. And it just made sense to me because I do most of my thinking when I'm riding. Even though I'm reading the road and I'm doing stuff, I get ideas when I'm out riding, especially on solo rides. So I hope this video is helpful in getting you out on your bike more, whatever bike it may be. It doesn't need to be a fancy, expensive bike. You save that for your performance rides. Get whatever. I'm getting me a bike close to what they use in China with the flat bars. That's why I saw that movie in Collateral Beauty with Will Smith. His character in the movie rides one of those city bikes and is made out of chromoly. And I'm leaning from one of those or maybe a track bike. But the track bikes that they're making now, they're more like fancy stuff. You can't put panniers and other things in there, and then it's fixed gear. So I'm going to lean towards just a classic city bike with flat bars, put a Brooks saddle on there or something. That's what I'm looking for. Just a ride to the store. You dress up however you want, just go. So that's my plan. And I've been using my car less and less. I go into the city maybe 2 times a week to help a client. But the rest of my work I'm able to do via the internet. So I'm phasing, so I have 2 old cars that run really well. I mean, they're in good condition and everything, but I've had no desire to get another car. So when I mentioned to Paul, I was thinking about getting an RV in the future when I can afford it. He actually had been thinking the same thing. And for me, for my lifestyle, it just makes sense. I will get my girls some bikes. So hopefully they can start riding to school once they get real proficient. I did not get them bikes, road bikes, because I have an 8-year-old that's just crazy. And she doesn't think anything can hurt her. And I know your kids. And I'm not ready to be responsible for that. She does not respect speed. This is a kid that is power sliding a tricycle at age 6. And there's one of these tricycles, they call them big wheels. And how does a kid wear out a big wheel? She wore a hole in those big plastic wheels in no time. I've had to replace them. And now they're broken. The steering broke. Like, how do you break the steering? She ran into a curb just to see what would happen. And I just told my wife, I'm not getting her a road bike because she's crazy. You know, she's kind of like me. I guess I was like that age. But, you know, who takes a bike and runs it into a curb? She ran the tricycle into a curb outside in the yard, and the steering just snapped. So now it's just broken. Those fancy, you know, plastic big wheels. And I'm like, yeah. So the bike's done. Then her sister is more sedate and like a cruiser. So her big wheel is in pristine condition. The younger one that's 2 years younger. But you can't buy one for the other and not one for both of them because there will be war. So until she respects safety, I'm keeping her. So actually, Paul brought them scooters, and they've been using that because it teaches them balance too. But she's too crazy for me to trust her with a road bike. She does not respect danger and speed and all that. So I'm waiting. I've been shopping for bikes for them, but I'm watching to see when she gets to where she gets some fear. Because right now she's afraid of nothing. I'm not going to take that liability. Anyway, I digress. So we've hit 4,000 subscribers. I really want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. I've been able to handle the growth. I've used some of the tools that YouTube has here to keep the community clean. That's important to me because I studied a lot of the guys in the space, and I just want things in the commentary that help other cyclists. I want us to help each other with ideas and suggestions. And so I had made a tape to talk about reinforcing our jerseys. It's in production. I was going to release it, but this thing was just something that spontaneously hit me. And I just wanted to share with you guys that we all need to find a way to get more people out on the bikes. We need to be more active in our communities and let these city council and other politicians know that, you know, we need to reclaim our outdoor space and take them away from just the domination of cars. They need to consider pedestrians and other users like cyclists when they make these spaces. And we have that going on in the woodlands where you guys see us riding. There's always people out running. I really love that. That's why I moved out here close to that area, because I just like to be outside. And so get out there, get your K's in, ride to live, because riding the bike not only cures physical ills, it cures mental ills as well. So no matter what, don't stop riding.